Hello and welcome to the Content Prompt Engine. My name is Alex Alexander. This is a system that I created for myself. Now, I create a weekly podcast called Friendship IRL. Multiple times a week, I post on Substack. I am a keynote speaker and I lead workshops. I am an author and I have a book coming out. That's all to say, I create a lot of long form content. Now, you don't have to create that same type of content for this to work for you. You could have endless client calls all week long, and you know that there are gems hidden in those client calls. But when you go to create the short form content, you can't figure out what to post. That was what was happening to me. I can create long form content all day, but then trying to distill those ideas down into short form content, I needed help. So I built myself the content prompt engine. What you are going to get out of this is not a bunch of generic prompts. You are going to build prompts that are very custom to you and your goals. Now, that takes a little bit of upfront thinking, but once it's done, you have a system that you can reuse forever. That means that when you have that client call, you can take the same transcript and you can run it through with very specific prompts for LinkedIn, Instagram, Substack notes, threads, and you are just copying and pasting that same transcript in. Takes a few minutes, and you could have hundreds, potentially, depending on how you write your prompts, of content ideas. Now, most people are not doing this. Most people are taking that transcript from that client call and they are opening ChatGPT or Claude and they are typing something vague like, find the issues in here that I could turn into Instagram post. That's not going to give you a very good output. This system fixes that because you are going to design very specific instructions once. And then every time you feed the AI model content, you are going to get consistent on-brand output. So let's take a tour through the content prompt engine. There are 3 components. You can see them here in the What You Need section. You have the worksheet, the master prompt, and the prompt bank, which is also embedded down here on the main dashboard. So let's head into the worksheet. This worksheet is something you're going to want to keep a clean copy of. So you actually will duplicate and pull everything out of here, and I will show you how to do that a little later. Now, I would suggest reading this through when you go to open it for the first time, because what you input in here, the thinking you do, is going to impact whether you get a good output or not. So, for example, when I created a prompt for my LinkedIn, I wanted to be able to put in a podcast episode, and I wanted that prompt to give me output that gave me very specific aligned content with my keynote and workshop topics. So I gave the prompt my keynote and workshop topics. I also have a prompt for Instagram that really hits on my very specific content pillars. I will feed the same podcast episode in and I will ask Threads to find hot topics or deeper questions. And those don't have to specifically be in that episode. It could be a layer deeper where it's not actually a line that's even in my podcast, but I'm asking AI to take it a step further and think of how it could turn this into a hot topic. Now, you'll go through all 8 sections, what kind of content you're starting with, what you want AI to do, what platforms you're targeting, your goals, your audience, your voice, what kind of output you want, and your quality standards. A lot of these questions are deleting, so you can go through and delete all but one. That's why we want to always keep a clean copy, so you always have all the options. And then there are a couple questions where you're going to write 1 to 3 sentences. At the very bottom of the page, there is a section for content buckets or themed days. If you already have these, go ahead and input them. If you don't, go ahead and skip it. The system works either way. Next, we're going to head into the master prompt. You do not edit this. This is just something that you are going to copy. It tells AI exactly how to read your worksheet and turn it into a clean, reusable prompt. At the very bottom of this page, there is a section to paste your completed worksheet. Again, you are not going to paste it right here. You are going to copy this whole prompt into your AI model of choice and then paste in the worksheet, and it is going to generate a prompt. That's very key to understand. It's going to generate a prompt not content. That comes later. Now, the final piece of this system here is the prompt bank. There's a link here if you want to open it up full page, but it's also embedded in your dashboard. This is where your finished prompts live. Each entry has a name, it has the platform, you can create categories, and then it has the prompt itself. So let's go ahead and open one of these prompts. This is an example of what a finished entry looks like. You can see that the prompt in this page is the actual prompt that I would paste into AI with my podcast transcript to create content ideas for LinkedIn. As you go through and fill out the worksheet and generate different prompts that have specific goals, each prompt will get its own entry here in the database. That's how you keep everything organized, so that every single time you have a new client call or a new podcast episode, you can come in and run your set of 1 to 8 prompts if you so choose, and get very specific output every single time. Okay, so let's go through and let's build a prompt from scratch. You're going to go in here and you are going to create a new prompt bank entry. Let's call it something like podcast to Instagram. And you are going to go in, you're going to open up that worksheet. You're going to copy everything from that worksheet into this new entry. But for the sake of time, I've already filled out a worksheet. So podcast to Instagram. This would be my completed worksheet. I would have gone through and I would have deleted things. I have filled in the little fill in the blank sections. When you go to fill out this worksheet for the first time, take your time on it. It might require you to think a little differently about how you've been using your content, but it gets way faster after your first prompt. If something feels fuzzy and you're not sure how to answer it, write whatever you would tell a human freelancer that you hired to do that job. Another idea would be to talk it out. Use a program like Whisper Flow, where you can just speak your mind and it'll input everything. Go into one of these boxes and just talk and talk and talk. You can have a long input. That's okay. Now remember, you're designing instructions, not the content. This worksheet is telling AI how to think, not what to say. So once the worksheet is done, now we are going to generate the prompt. So you are going to go back to the master prompt. You are going to copy everything to the completed worksheet. You're going to paste that in here. Then I'm going to go back and I am going to open our completed worksheet. I'm going to copy all of that. I'm going to paste it in Claude and I'm going to go ahead and generate. And here it has created a very customized prompt for turning a podcast episode into an Instagram post. So I'm going to go back and I am going to add the prompt. So I would put it here, and because I love a duplicate copy in case something happens. Okay, now that you have saved your prompt, let me go ahead and show you what would happen. So we're going to take this final prompt. We are going to go back. We're going to create a new chat. I'm going to do that, and I am going to give it the transcript for one of my podcast episodes. It's thinking about emotionally resonant hooks for Instagram. And all of these here, that prompt created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 content ideas for Instagram. This prompt in particular for story heavy hooks. So then I can take these hooks. It doesn't create completed content, although you can have it create something a little bit more complete. It just depends on how you fill out the worksheet, but I wanted hooks. So 10 coffee dates, 10 hours, 1 year, right? Like I could turn this into a story. I could put it on the front page of a carousel. I'd go back and I'd continue to work it. But now I have some very specific ideas of how to take this episode and turn it into short form content. So that's the whole system. You take the worksheet and the master prompt, you put it into AI, and you create content ideas that are very, very specific to the output that you are looking for. The first prompt takes the longest because you're making so many decisions and starting to understand how the system works. But after that, you will already know your voice, your audience, your goals. So each new prompt is mostly just picking a new platform and an output type. Most people end up with a handful of prompts, maybe one for Instagram hooks, one for LinkedIn thought leadership, one for Substack notes, one for thread questions. But it's really however specific you want to be and what your business is. Now, one more thing, when you start running these prompts, you're going to see that you get a lot of content ideas, right? I just got 7 right here. I would suggest building a database in Notion to hold all of those ideas, because even if you don't use them right now, that doesn't mean you can't use them later. And you don't need to go back and copy and paste the prompt and the master prompt and the this and the transcript. It's just more clicking. So if you have a way to save all of your ideas, you can go back and you're already one step ahead. Now, if you do not want to go and build a database to store all the output, I have something to tell you, which is that I have already built that database. It's called the bank content system because you're putting deposits in the content bank and you can always pull them out later whenever you need an idea. There is a link right here on the page. Now from here, remember that this content bank is yours. You can drag and drop, remove things, swap things out. It's however you want to customize it, but all the structure is here and it's here for as long as you want to make all the prompts. So with that, go build your first prompt. It might feel a little weird at first to really think through how you're designing the instructions. That's normal, but after one prompt, I think you'll get it and you'll see the power of this system.